Good morning, Tribe. What is going on? Get out of bed, do a flip right in your pants. Put them on 2 legs at a time today. Kiss the sky. Today is good to you. Happy to be with you today. Sorry, a little bit late. Dropped the old microphone on the ground. Had a little bit of a scare. Parts were flying everywhere. I was a surgical tactician putting this thing back together. And so here we go today. Super happy to be with you. We're talking about living a life on pause. Living a life on pause. And, one of the things that I love about this time of year, right? The leaves are falling, hurricanes are blowing through, all kinds of neat things. But we've got the old pigskin flying around. It is time for some football, right? Everyone loves football. It is the new American religion. Do you know that the first largest food consumption holiday in America, of course, coming up again, Thanksgiving, second largest food consumption holiday, Super Bowl Sunday. Football, though, has done something to us that I think is detrimental to the psyche of the average person. And that is, football is, for some of those on the field, I think 22 people at a time. It's an active sport where gladiators go up against each other to see who will ultimately win out. But for the rest of us, it makes us into something dangerous. Spectators, right? If you look at the Latin origin of spectator, it's specter, like a ghost. I'm thinking tater, although tater is nowhere involved in there, but it's the specter. It's a watcher. It is one disengaged, unable to touch, move, or affect anything. And so the question is, are you a spectator? Are you an active participant? And are we doing enough to live life on play? Not so much fast forward, but definitely not pause. This whole thing came about the other day as my wife and we homeschool our children. And if you can imagine the well-being of 6 lives and destinies and plotting those out, like that's what we carry every day. And one of the things we realized was that a couple of our children were actually on pause. And we realized this because they were awaiting instruction from us. There was something that we were going to be bringing to them. And while they were on pause, what they would do is they would go to Instagram, Facebook, all of your social media. That maybe some of them were, one of them in particular was actually Netflix binge watching. Anyone ever done that before? Yeah. All right. But if we're not careful, what happens is we live a life on pause. This is an interesting fact because everything that we're striving for in our lifestyle, my wife and I think a lot of you guys out there who are watching this, is we are striving for freedom. And it's not so much that, it's not what our forefathers have died for and the troops have died for, but freedom really, the ability, I wrote this down this morning just as I was having my profound thoughts. It's not waiting around for people to tell us what to do. It's not an absence from having to do anything. It's the ability to choose things worth doing and then actually doing them. So it's not an absence of having to do anything. That would be nice sometimes, right? It's actually the ability to choose the right things to do or the things that you feel are worthy of doing and then doing them. So how do we end up in pause? Well, I would say that if you are living a life of, I wake up in the morning, I wind myself up, and then I go, if that's who you are, there's a fatal flaw involved in that. Because all of us have got something I'm going to grab for you in just a minute. All of us have to start out with a why. Why in the world are you doing this? If you're not questioning your why, then you're doing it wrong. when we know why, we can do extraordinarily difficult things. Think about the rigors that people have put themselves through recently in the Olympics, or in things like building companies, building buildings, going to the moon, all the difficult things people are willing to do when they have a why. And so this, I think, probably shows up in reverse there, I think, because of the cameras. But this is my why. This is our vision board. These are the things that I'm going after. And every day as I walk in, this is in my workspace. It reminds me of my why. And actually, there's one thing I'm going to change here, because we've actually recently had some camping experiences as a family. All this stuff is fun, but we don't necessarily desire the great outdoors like we thought we did. Travel, yes. Great outdoors, not so much. So we're changing this part of our why, and we're going to become more of a home away family in the future, just for those of you who are curious. But the idea is we want to be able to escape from slavery. Some of us are slaves to society. Some of us are slaves to what other people would think of us. Some of us are slaves to our parents. Some of us are slaves to our emotions. We're all a slave to something. My goal is to hopefully jiggle you a little bit, get you to a place to where you are deciding to be a slave for that which matters most to you. Purpose. Anytime I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to talk to you about purpose and the ability to do things that you were meant to do. I've been listening to a story of Elon Musk, the guy who's the head of SpaceX and those neat Tesla cars that are driving around the world. He actually started out with a very difficult childhood. He grew up in South Africa, was bullied, beat up one time so badly that he couldn't go to school for a week. He found his refuge in the place of books. In that place of books, he memorized literally 2 encyclopedias. He had close to a photographic memory. And in that was actually kind of a Kickstarter for where he would go in life. But the reason he does the things he does is because of a mission to mankind. He feels like he's got to save us. And so that's why he's creating electric cars and space travel and all of these things. And so in his mind, that's his mission. That's why he's doing these great things. There are 3 types of the pause that got my little pause thingy there. There are 3 types of the pause that I wanted to talk to you about. All right. One of those is voluntary. Now, when you're living on purpose, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what makes your soul sing. You can't just do that nonstop. You still need breaks, right? If we're doing hard things, the hard things are stressful, and stress eventually will cause things to crack. And so as things, what our goal is to do is to avoid the cracking of what happens through pressure and stress, and actually withdraw and rest. And resting on purpose is a very smart thing. As a matter of fact, you should have a strategy for rest. We've talked about that before. One way to have a strategy for rest is taking annual vacations, taking quarterly vacations. How about this? How about taking a day off per week where you don't do any work? You're not accessible by phone, by email, by any of that. Those are things that people who are living on purpose, not on pause, are doing. Again, this pause on purpose matters. Within your workday, you should also have little periods of rest as you're going through, and that rest should provide refreshment. So you're going from one place to another, and you're always full of life and full of energy. Now I'm going to give you 2 other types of pause that aren't really good, and we want to avoid these 2 types of pause. One of those I would say is it's involuntary, and it happens because you don't rest. I used to hear a person say, if you don't take a vacation, your vacation is going to take you. If you don't take a Sabbath, your Sabbath is going to take you. We were meant to operate from a place of rest. You ever think about why in the world do we need to sleep at night? Isn't that kind of weird? It just seems like you should be able to stay up continually doing things, but we were meant for rest. And so we've got to be able to find that. So, but if you don't take that rest, your body is going to break down. And what's going to happen is that you're going to be in a place of involuntary rest. You didn't mean to pause, but you did because you're just breaking. All right. Here's a way that might manifest itself. back to where my child was, where you might be. It happens in Instagram. It happens on Facebook. It happens on, do you zone out in front of TV? What happens from an hour of television every single day? Well, that's 1 hour times 365 divided by 40 hours. That's literally, that's over 40 working days you're spending watching TV if you watch 1 hour a day. That's 2 months. Crazy. That's crazy. So what do? We need to put ourselves in that place of rest. The other type of involuntary rest is the people who walk through life dumbly, which sometimes we can all be guilty of. We walk through never asking that why, right? Never asking what's supposed to make us tick, what's supposed to make us run, what is my purpose? And we end up in a place to where we're having to anesthetize ourselves from the pain of not living our purpose, from not living in power, from not living in the place where we are expressing heavenly glory on this earth. It's crazy. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be spending hours. Man, I've found myself in a Facebook hole for 45 minutes at a time. I've found myself actually this weekend watching after a movie, flipping through channels. Who flips through channels? What? Why do we do that? Usually the reason we do it is because our mind is worn out from doing hard things that are difficult. And if we can, however, be strategic about doing hard things that matter, and then resting at appropriate times, what can end up happening is we can be more powerful, more productive, doing things of purpose and power and destiny, and not doing stupid things that are a waste of time. And so I want to encourage you, like there's one trick that I'm going to leave you with. It is, this is for time effectiveness. It's with what's called the Pomodoro timer method. And I would leave this with you. You can Google it, Pomodoro, like a tomato, timer method, and literally it happened by someone taking a tomato timer. And what happens is you basically, they would set the timer, and you can do this on your computer or get an actual timer, and you set it. It goes for 35 minutes. And here's the question: can you work for 35 minutes strong? Yeah, everyone can. At the end of that 35 minutes, take a 10-minute rest. So 35 minutes at butt kicking, blazing speed, then unplug. Do something, go outside, listen to music, do something, re-energize yourself, and then jump back into it and go get it for another strong 35. See how that changes your effectiveness. See how that changes the place of your mind being strong from rest, rather than being worn out and tattered and you being a piece of crust when you get home to your family. Listen, I'm here to bring you guys into the same thing that I'm going into. It's about leveling up. It's about us being our best, and we don't have to work 1,000,000 hours a week to do it. We can be effective if we can be powerful with our time, and if we can stop these involuntary breaks and be strategic about doing what we're doing. Guys, I love you. Kill your purpose today. You can get it. Man, go serve someone, go love someone, and be great. See ya.